Are you stressing about your credit card debt? Do you believe you are a financial mess? Well, you definitely want to stay tuned to this episode of Smile Money Conversations. I'm your host, Jason Vitug, founder at Frugal and author of You Only Live Once, The Roadmap to Financial Wellness and a Purposeful Life. Today, I am sharing an interview I have with New York Times bestseller, my friend Lynnette Khalfani-Cox. We talk about financial wellness, we talk about purpose, we talk about serving something greater than ourselves, and talking about our financial failures.
Oh my gosh, I got my car repossessed. I had student loan debt. I had credit card debt up the wazoo. I was just doing everything wrong. Okay.
Lynnette herself had over $100,000 of credit card debt, and we dive deep into how do you change your mindset, how do you shift your habits so you can get from where you are to where you want to be. And in this powerful conversation, we talk about the importance of financial storytelling. We all have financial stories and we can learn from them. So it's important for us to break the taboo, and not from a place of shame or guilt or resentment, but from a place of hope, because hope is hearing other people's experiences. With that said, let's go to the interview. I want to know your definition. What is financial wellness in your term?
Well, financial health and financial well being to me really means three parts. It's about being able to take care of your everyday needs in the here and now, being able to plan for the future, and also being able to sort of have all the rest of your life tied together in a way that you don't have to worry about money. So I think so many times we think about money matters just in terms of dollars and cents. It's one thing to have X number of dollars in the bank. What if you're planning to get married, or if you want to start a business, or you want to go to graduate school, or you want to have a baby? Of course, all of those things cost money. And so I like to see people financially stable enough to take care of the day to day bills without living paycheck to paycheck. And also, of course, be able to do some long term financial planning, whether that's, taking care of the retirement funds that are going to be needed down the road, but then also able to just live a good life and do the things that they want to do. So to me, you're really financially healthy if you can kind of tackle all three of those things: take care of the present, plan for the future, and then also just live out your dreams, whatever they might be.
Yeah, you've categorized these three areas that's important in order to become financially healthy and improve your overall well-being. When I went and I set out on the road to financial wellness, first time I did so, everyone looked at me like I had 10 heads. They're like, what is financial wellness? Why are you talking about thoughts and feelings? And why are you talking about being mindful? And I go, well, that all relates to us living our best lives. And so for me, financial wellness is your health, your wealth, your overall quality of the life that you're living.
And I mean, Jason, really, you hit it spot on, because think about it. When you talk about your health, your career, your overall well-being, whether it's your relationships, etc., if one of those areas it is out of whack, it's going to mess with you altogether, right? Or it's going to affect your wallet. So, for example, if you don't have a healthy relationship and then you wind up getting divorced, well, divorce is very costly. Been there, done that. So if you don't feel like your career is fulfilling and satisfying to you, chances are you're not going to be as productive as you could be. You might not be reaching your full earnings power. You might not have the pursuits in terms of either professional or career goals and aspirations that would lead you to higher earning potential. So it really is all related. And then I think from a spiritual standpoint, there's a lot of folks out there who are just seeking. They want something better. They know, I happen to be Christian and believe in God and a higher power, but you don't have to believe in a God or a higher power in all of us to want to serve out some purpose, to want to realize some purpose. And so, whatever that purpose is, having resources to be able to fulfill those goals and desires and fulfill that purpose, having resources is not a bad thing to get it all done.
It definitely isn't. I want to go back to when you said about, like, you don't have to be religious, you don't have to believe in God. I was driving after my event in Mizzou, and I actually started getting tearful and I started rejoicing. And I was like, no, thank God. And I want to thank God because I truly feel I am serving my purpose. And it was just this jubilation inside me. And I couldn't explain it, but I was saying, like, I am inspired. It comes from the word inspiritus, which is in spirit. Like,
And that was like, and I'm driving, and I'm like, thank God, like, thank the universe. It's like I am on my path. And then when I think back in terms of me following that traditional path of graduating college and pursuing that corporate
Right.
path, and that's okay for many people, but for me it didn't really align. And then so what I found myself was, to feel better, I was just spending all the money that I was making as opposed to doing anything with it. That's why I think for me it's very important to talk about financial wellness in that context, that it is holistic, that it is all interconnected.
I think what a beautiful story to share. I mean, I feel like you tapped into gratitude. You tapped into an acknowledgement of all the blessings that you have. And truly, one of the blessings in life is to be able to fulfill and live out your purpose. I feel like that's one of the highest callings, if not to get all, psych on it, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And basic needs are at the bottom, and then sort of getting higher and higher about self actualization and sort of living out your purpose, essentially. And I bet a lot of people you talk to today had their own personal stories, their own success stories, their own obstacles and challenges, hurdles perhaps that they've overcome. And it's all a testimonial, right? It's all a way in which we share not only our professional knowledge, and I've been in the game for a long time. I've been doing this like 20 plus years, and I've had the good fortune, because of my previous life as a financial journalist. I was a CNBC reporter, and I was a Wall Street Journal reporter. I was with Dow Jones for 10 years, et cetera. So I got to interview a lot of super smart people, some of the best minds on Wall Street, stockbrokers and traders and hedge fund managers, CEOs and certified financial planners and accountants. So I would always ask them, of course, what's working? What are you doing with your clients? How are you making them money? What are some of the pitfalls? What are they doing wrong? And then, of course, I would just translate that kind of legalese and Wall Streetese and put it in layman's terms. After a while, I was like, oh, okay, this is not rocket science. I can do this too, especially at that point when I was like a total hot financial mess. you know. And so I feel like it is a good thing to share our stories and to express gratitude, because I think a lot of times people look at, whether it's folks in the financial blogging community, personal finance experts, people who care about financial wellness and health like we do, et cetera. They see like one side of us, right? They see what's on social media. Again, a very carefully curated version of our lives. But they kind of think like, oh, you have it all together, because I see the big deals. I see you on commercials. I see you in this and that. And it's all great. You mentioned my New York Times bestseller. They see that I have a lot of books. And people just assume like, oh, okay, it's all perfect in sunshine and roses. Not. So I like to tell stories too, because it helps people to understand that everybody has financial challenges. Everybody has financial setbacks. Everybody has goals and aspirations they've still not yet reached. And it's sometimes through those personal experiences that can really complement the professional experience we might have, the academic experience, what I call the kind of ivory tower wisdom. When you marry that with the practical day to day, I feel like you can really reach people and touch people. And as you mentioned, inspire them as well.
That has been my purpose. And when I think of purpose, and I explain to everyone that it's serving something greater than yourself. And I think it's so important for us why we need to learn to master our money. It's because then we have less dependency on other people. And when we have less dependency on other people, we are then able to give.
Right.
And so it took me a while to get to that point, and I'm still in that process. I'm still learning. Where we created this program called Never Have I Ever, right? From that game, a finance edition. And so we would raise these cards whenever there were like financial mistakes. And I realized I would raise the card every single time. And it was just an aha moment. And I said to myself, I'm like, wow, I was really a financial degenerate. But then I realized it didn't matter where I came from or the mistakes I made. It's where am I today? Have I learned? And I realized I'm still learning. And so I'm open to sharing that with people. And I've realized that, yeah, we could call it testimony. We could call it our story. And I've realized the power of financial storytelling. And I've said this a couple of times today during the live stream. When we share our financial stories, we're giving people hope. hope, and it's hearing other people's experiences. Those experiences are those financial stories, and that to me is so powerful. And I think when people come to me after I do a talk and they're like, wow, I think you've just changed my life, I always want to know what part of it. And they just go, your enthusiasm, regardless of all the things that you've gone through and what you're probably going through and you're not sharing with us right now, is infectious. So it makes me hopeful for my future. And that was said to me yesterday, that it touched my heart. And you're talking about, it's a 21-year-old in college, a junior, and it touched my heart. And I was like, wow, I am really serving my purpose. And at this point, it's like, I'm very grateful for the blessings that I have. I'm very grateful for the connections. I would not have been able to pull off this Facebook live stream if I didn't have a network and a circle of awesome people who believe in me.
And Jason, when you talk about sharing your stories, especially with the younger folks, right? The 21-year-old, the college student. Just think back when you were in college, when I was in college. Oh my God, I wish I had somebody to handhold me and to teach and to help me to sidestep all the pitfalls that I walked into, because they are just too numerous to count. One of my books is called Perfect Credit, 7 Steps to a Great Credit Rating. And I talk about how to get a credit score in the 760 to 850 point range. And that's work, okay? That's not like, okay, we just do it overnight. It's about habits. It's about a process. It's about understanding your own fiscal behaviors and some of the things that you might be doing that kind of shoot yourself in the foot. But when I was in college, oh my gosh, I got my car repossessed. I had student loan debt. I had credit card debt up the wazoo. I was just doing everything wrong, okay? I was overspending. I got credit card offers. I was like, oh, I must be an adult. They're giving me these free credit cards, more or less. Now, of course, I can share those stories, just like with Zero Debt, my New York Times bestseller. I share how back in 2001, I had $100,000 in credit card debt alone. And sometimes people are like, oh my God, what were you doing? And I'm like, yeah, what was I doing? And it was horrible. It was just classic overspending. Now I've learned, Jason, that we shouldn't be judging, blaming, and just sort of making people feel bad about their financial circumstances. And I think that's a huge part of storytelling and inspiration and helping people, especially younger people, to do better. Because first of all, we've all made mistakes, every single one of us. I remember when I interviewed Charles Schwab I wrote a book called Investing Success, and he wrote the foreword for my book. And I asked him, I said, have you ever made any investing mistakes that you really regret? He just looked at me, he said, have I made any? He said, I could fill a whole book full of mistakes that I made. And it struck me how candid he was. And one of the things that he taught me, though, was that the good investors, the people who are really good with their money, are those who can cut their losses, who can acknowledge when they've made a mistake and then course correct, then change. Like, don't keep wallowing in it. Don't keep repeating the behavior. Don't do it over and over again. So it was a good life lesson for me, and of course a financial lesson for me. When I think back to when I was mired in credit card debt, I wrote Zero Debt in 2004 initially, after I paid off that $100,000 in credit card debt. It took me 3 years to do it. And then in 2010, we did the second edition of Zero Debt. And then just last year in 2017, we did the third edition of Zero Debt. And the crazy thing is that the debt problem has just gotten worse in America. I feel like we've been preaching this message about smart borrowing and knowing how to manage debt and eliminating excessive consumer debt, et cetera. But of course, we have a new crop of people every year, more and more people joining the ranks of adulting, so to speak, and they haven't been taught either. Nobody teaches them this stuff in school. Chances are your parents didn't teach them the right way. When you look at the opportunities for mistakes, whether it's credit card debt or taking bad loans of any kind, even if it's a mortgage or a student loan, an auto loan, the pitfalls are numerous. When you talk about your own things that you've overcome and how you're happy about that, I relate to that as well. I don't know if I shared this with you yet, but my next book, I have 12 of them. I'm always writing a book. It's a book called Bounce Back, The Ultimate Guide to Financial Resilience. And it's all about overcoming setbacks. For many, many years, I've talked about what I call the dreaded Ds, the things that can lead you into debt, for example, like downsizing, divorce, a death in the family of the main breadwinner, disability or disease. Well, in Bounce Back, I add 5 other dreaded Ds, everything from daily dollar deficits to dreaded mistakes, whether it's on the business front and otherwise. Things, disasters, natural and man-made, things that go wrong. We look at problems like Hurricane Irma and Maria and Harvey, and you think, okay, well, how could we have been better prepared? And it's about, okay, when you look at it and you know that 90% of the people in Houston, for example, didn't have flood insurance, you have to say, okay, again, not blaming, not pointing fingers, but if you're going to live in a flood prone area or in an earthquake prone area or a fire ravaged area, you have to take extra precautions. So Bounce Back, when I looked at all the 10 dreaded Ds that I outlined in that book, I actually went through 7 of them. And I was like, oh my God, I felt like you when you said you realized you did a lot. And I was like, geez, what's wrong with you, Lynnette? But you know what? Part of what I've learned in my research, TD Ameritrade, Pew researchers, and others have talked a lot about financial shock. And bottom line, about 2/3 of Americans are going to have some kind of a financial shock, some kind of a setback, some of them almost yearly. So the fact that you're talking about financial wellness, I just take my hat off to you because it's such an important topic, and we can't talk about it enough. I mean, we need to be screaming from the rooftops, every single day, every single year. That's why I like to see. Sometimes people ask me, "Oh, millennials coming along," and they ask me about competition. Do I care? And I'm like, no, I don't care. I need them. I need more people. My husband Earl puts it this way. He says, "It was never our intention to let Lynnette's books be the only ones on the shelf." The idea, though, is that there's so much out there. There's so many people that need to learn. I mean, all of us need to be out there doing yeoman's work, just really putting our nose to the grindstone and just kind of teaching people what is lacking at so many levels, because the need is, I mean, we can't possibly tap into it all.
There's no way that we can reach every single person we need to reach by ourselves. And that's why I love collaborating. That's why I love doing things such as this attempt to break Facebook on financial health. It's just to get people interested and excited about personal finance and to break that money taboo. Because, we talk about if you're not learning it at school, you're not learning it from your parents, but we're learning it from the conversations or the Instagram photos that we're seeing of vacations, of cars, of homes. And then we're making these financial decisions. And so I want to break all of that. Let me share my story. I want to hear your story. Let's come to a common ground, no judgment-free zone. And let's talk seriously about sound financial management, some of the basic personal finance rules that can help you get from where you are to where you want to be. And I'm not going to tell you where you should be. You tell me, but I want to be able to help you find the resources, find the experts, and find the community that's going to support you.
Right. It's like being a guide, right? Helping somebody along the path to where they say they want to go. When you think about it, a lot of us, how did we learn? Those of us who are experts, again, some of us have a professional background in whatever capacity. But a lot of us learn through the school of hard knocks, right? Through trial and error. I mean, we learn by saying, that didn't work out. Oops, let's try again. And then you kind of latched onto a better path or a better way of doing things, or you kind of saw the light. Some people had to hit rock bottom, frankly, to really just kind of lose it all and that kind of thing before they say, okay, there must be a better way. And I think all of those pathways to enlightenment, if you will, are valid. They're all real methods to understand what works and what doesn't. That's why I like it when people do share their own stories, because again, it's one thing to learn kind of ivory tower academic wisdom, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's another thing to be in the trenches and then to hear somebody say, I tried that totally doesn't work. Now, if one person tells you I tried that, it doesn't work, you might go, oh, they didn't do it right. They didn't execute. They were, they haphazard in their approach. But if 5 people and 10 people, tell you I tried that, it didn't work, then it's like, okay, well, maybe you have to think or rethink your methodology and what you're teaching. And so it's good to constantly get that feedback as well, to understand in very practical terms. Like if I tell people go out and negotiate their credit card interest rates, and I'll tell them, for example, studies show that 75% of people who call up their credit card company and ask for a lower interest rate actually get it. kind of theirs for the asking right there on the spot, people might go, oh, wow, really? And they might, have a quick epiphany and say, tomorrow I'm going to call my credit card company. But if I tell 10 people and 7 out of 10 of them call me and say it didn't work, then I have to rethink what I'm telling them, or I have to say, okay, here's how to do it, or here's a better strategy, or, that kind of thing. So it's good also to share our stories and what we've done personally and professionally that's worked, but it's also good to keep that dialogue going, right? To keep getting feedback from everyday people so that they can continue to inform us to be better, to even more precise and accurate and effective advice. I'm never that person who says, "Oh, I know it all" or whatever. Sometimes I joke in my sessions, and in person, I'll do a workshop, and at the end of my sessions, we almost always have Q&A, right? And sometimes I'll have 500 people, 1,000 people, 80 people, whatever in a room. And then they'll say, okay, floor is open. You can ask the money coach, ask anything you want. And I'll say, ask me any question you want, anything money related. And I said, and I'll have an answer for you. And I said, don't feel you're going to stump me or whatever. Just ask away. And I said, if I don't know the answer, I'll just make something up. Then I joke and I say, no, I'm not going to make it up. And I'll say, I'll tell you honestly, good question. You stumped me. I don't know the answer to that. And then I'm going to go research it and find out and then come back to you. So I hate when people get like a BS answer and you're like, that is so wrong. Or no, how come they couldn't just say, I don't know?
I've learned the power of saying, I don't have an answer for that, but you've made me take a step back, and I definitely need to fill my my knowledge gap.
Exactly.
Well, Lynnette, we are at the top of the segment, and before we let you go, can you please share where people can find more information about you? I know they can go to askthemoneycoach.com.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. Appreciate that. Askthemoneycoach.com, as you mentioned, is my free financial advice site. You can check it out there. I have over 1,600 articles on 28 different topics of personal finances. MoneyCoachUniversity.com is our video-based online learning platform. I have both free and paid courses on there on a whole bunch of topics. So that's a resource. And then finally, I'm on all the social media. I'm on, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter. Everything is pretty much at the Money Coach.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you so much for being part of this.
Again, kudos to you, Jason, for pulling this off. You did a great job.
I'm almost there. So thanks for that confidence boost.
All right. Take care.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
As I was editing and reviewing the video before posting, she shares so many nuggets of wisdom that I had to take notes, and hopefully you got the same type of experience listening to her powerful story and to her truth and her knowledge and things that you can apply to your everyday life. With that said, definitely follow Lynnette, follow us. All the information will be in the bio and the notes below. So make sure you check it out, all the links and all the social media handles. And if you're new to this channel, help us grow and subscribe and share it with your family and friends. And in the comments, let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you think, and let me know what the biggest takeaway is for you. I'm Jason, signing out. See you next time.